Hi there. I thought I would split my video into two parts, mostly so my kids wouldn't interrupt me for a lot of it, and hopefully I can upload it easier this way. So I'm choosing a board game that focuses on social skills. I know how to talk to you about it in class, but it's something that I feel like my 7-year-old struggles with. He's very talkative and verbal at home, but when it comes to meeting new people, or just speaking with adults that he's not familiar with, he shuts down or he has a really hard time communicating. In my opinion, it kind of comes across as disrespect. So I thought maybe this type of board game working on social skills would help him kind of see, oh, it is important how I say things, or what I look like when I say things. So I'll get into more detail about the game, but first, I found a pretty interesting article. It's from the International Journey of Play Therapy from this year, April of this year. And it was just a study done about evaluating play-based approaches in play therapy. And I just thought it had some really interesting, good facts about, the importance of the board games. Some of the main things were, in general, the structure of the board game creates a shared and well-defined setting. It requires people to interact, have personal interaction. Usually you have eye contact, nonverbal and verbal cues, and I would say every game. Be patient and follow rules, important, and have certain strategic problem-solving abilities. So that was just kind of what this article had brought up about what's good about board games, and then especially with children, it can help them work through their frustrations and respond in a socially appropriate manner, which is kind of my key thing with my board game. Also, it can help develop interpersonal connection and be respectful to others, like I mentioned earlier, and provides the participants with a sense of security, safety, and psychological containment. So I thought that was pretty interesting, and the rest of the study with it was interesting, but I won't go into all that. So next I wanted to focus on the developmental stages, and I did around 7 years old. That's one of my sons. My other son is 13, but I did the game more towards my 7-year-old. So mostly I'm focusing on the social developmental stage. So usually at this stage, a 7-year-old would move from the initiative versus guilt to the industry versus inferiority stage, learn to perform a lot of tasks on their own, learn what behaviors please adults and what don't, reading social cues, also what behaviors please their peers, and develop their internal locus of control around this age, maybe a little bit older, but close to it. Emotionally, they're very concrete thinkers. They don't understand that other people could have a different perception. Self-developmentally is much different than like my 13-year-old. Like at this stage, a 7-year-old wouldn't have the ability to see both the negative and positive viewpoints and emotions at once. So try to keep that in mind with his age. Cognitively, there seems to improve a lot at this age. Better gross motor skills. They're more independent, make their own decisions. Abstract thinking is not fully developed, but beginning. And then physically, they have improved balance, coordination, and verbal abilities. So I definitely see that with my own son at this age. So like I said, my game, I'll show you it in my next video when the kids are in it, but I'll just read the instructions now, and then we can move on and play it. But so my game is called the How You Say It game. The objective is basically be the first to reach King Kindness Castle. It's a makeover of Candyland. And this is how you play it. Youngest player will go first. The first player will spin the wheel if it's going to land on a tone of voice and a color. So that player will move their little guy, their game piece on the board to that color, and draw a phrase card. So you'll see when we play the game, a phrase card is just a simple phrase. And based off the tone of voice that they spun it to, they have to use that tone. So it could be happy voice, I have to look at a teasing voice, calm, whiny, annoyed, and angry are our options. So that's the tone of voice they'll have to use with all these different phrases. So then the first player will read the card phrase to the player next to them in the tone of voice that they got when they spun the wheel. The player who heard the card takes the card and places it in a feelings pile. So now they're going to tell us how hearing that phrase made them feel. And the feeling piles are happy, sad, angry, and afraid. So if it made them happy, the motivation is, if it made them happy, they get to move ahead even one more space. I also added some questions on the board, such as, how does that make you feel? Someone make you feel when they said things that way, so we can talk, and it's not just real cut and dry, black and white. We can explain our feelings. Another example is, would you want someone to talk to you like that? Another example is, physically roll your eyes or cross your arms, then tell the person how that made you feel. And then when they answer those questions, they get to move ahead another space. So there's some more incentive. With Candyland, they have the sweet treat cards. So a little more incentive I had is, if you pick a sweet treat card, you move to that space on the board, and then you follow the instructions. And I think it said that you can win a piece of candy, but we're going to find out when we play. After the game, we'll discuss how the voice, face, and body language mattered. So, I think, like I said earlier, I really think this will meet a lot of therapeutic goals with social skills and just being respectful and talking about our feelings and how our reactions or our body language and our words affect other people as young kids and older. So we'll go to part 2 next. Thanks.